Hi. So when we hear sustainability, we think about the big words like carbon footprint, climate change, global warming, right? But it's not usually the big acts that cause this collapse. Sometimes it's a small act. My name is Shakira Iyanda, and I am currently doing my PhD in chemistry. And I want to talk about how this small act changed my world, and now I'm currently working on changing it back. Okay, so before I tell my story, I will deep down talk about my roots. I am a Nigerian, which is from the western part of Africa, and I lived all my life in Lagos State. Lagos State happens to be the smallest in terms of the area, but it is very, very dense. Like, it is very populated. And also, it is the major financial center in Africa. Now, imagine a state that is that small, and at the same time, it is the commercial hub of Nigeria. Then you want to imagine what is going on there, right? It's very, very bad. So this is just a video to show you what is going on right now in Lagos State. We have issue with chemical waste, construction debris. We have problems with plastics, and we just have a lot of the system is not all that great in terms of like taking care of the people and also the waste that we generate in Lagos State. So it's not just something I read in the news. It was something I actually lived. I lived through it. I go to the city most of the time and I see this waste a lot of times. So my life in Lagos, like I said, I was born in Lagos. I lived all my life in Lagos. The first place I live in Lagos is Koshofe. I was born there. Then I moved to Ikorodu. My daddy built our home. And this is just my typical family, my dad, my mom, my sister, and I. And this is our means of livelihood. My mom owns this shop right in front of our home, and my dad is a clearing and forwarding agent. So he technically exports and he imports goods. And yeah, my education, typically everything from my primary school to secondary school down to getting my BSc in chemistry was also done in Lagos. Now, all of this story may be like a little too much, but there's a reason why I'm talking about this. So I'll first start with this particular quote by James Anson. It says that climate is changing and the signs are everywhere. It's not about belief, it's about the fact. Now, I saw the signs everywhere. Many Lagosians, many Nigerians saw the signs. So these are the signs I was saying back in Lagos. The blocked drainage system, bad roads, plastics, chemical waste, construction debris, everything was a science. But it was just like a normal day, right? We just go by our days when we see something like this in Lagos. We just feel like, okay, yeah, it's just the waste. What can we do about it? And so there happened to be a turning point in my life. So my dad at that point, that would be in 2008, he lost his job. And because he lost his job, we lived and we depended on my mom's small shop right in front of our home. And right in front of our home, we have this same drainage. It's been there for a while, so it's just an act of convenience. Through plastic, waste, whatever goes into that drainage, we call it gutter. And so it's been there for quite a while, right in front of the shop. And then one day, my mom's shop came crashing down. So everything that we depended on, talking about, it was there that we eat from, we feed from, even to like schooling. So imagine like a lot of things that people have done over time, which is not just about us, that has caused this problem to the family. It was so sad seeing my mom cry. It was one of the hardest things to see on that very day. And I remember this man, he was just like walking around and he was checking and he was saying that, oh, you know, the problem is just the plastics, is the waste. At that time I was young, right? So I really did not really understand what he was talking about. But from there, I knew it was time for action. So technically, my curiosity became my compass. I would ask questions when I go to school. I would talk about it with my science teacher, you know, just have conversations about it. I wasn't sure. But eventually, after I got my BSc from chemistry, I knew I wanted to do something that is going to help the environment because I saw the impact. It was really awful. And so that's where my journey began from Lagos State. I got admission to the University of Vermont to study chemistry. Now, it's not just to study chemistry, but chemistry that is going to be part of the solution and not just the one that contributes to the problem. Now, I had this professor in my lab, in my department. His name is Professor Petrucci. He does secondary organic aerosols, and they're very important. And so I just felt like, oh, if I do something in line with this, then I'm also contributing to the environment, right? Because they have a very huge impact on air quality, climate change, and whatnot. But then I spoke to him, and he said, oh, he's actually retiring. And so he can't take any student at that time. I was really sad, I was heartbroken. And so the next thing would be, what was I supposed to do from that point in time? I felt like there wasn't so much of the chemistry happening in my department that was actually speaking to me in terms of like giving back to the environment. And so that was when I thought of something. So I remember that at that time, even before I came to University of Vermont, I joined a lot of non-governmental organizations. And then when we get to speak to the older generation about climate change, sustainability, they don't really just get it back home. And I think it's just okay. I think it's something new, it's foreign to them. So having to like implement all of these things weren't something that was coming naturally to them. So we thought, this quote resonates with me so much. It says, we do not inherit the hurt from our ancestors, we borrow it from our children. So what that means exactly is, we are not doing a favor to the planet by upping it, no. We are saving it for our future generation. And so this is the beginning of my non-governmental organization. It's called the Kira Foundation. So what I did with some like minds, we decided to catch them young. So what we did is we go to high schools, we speak to them, educate them. We just did not do that. We also used plastics to upcycle. We made Ottoman. They were very interested and they were so happy doing that they could actually make something from waste, you know. And also they also carried out some artwork. It was so beautiful catching these children young. We just kind of like educated them. Then after that, I knew that, okay, then I need to look more inward in my chemistry. And I was opportuned to work with my boss now. His name is Rory Waterman. And so in our research group, and for my own work technically, the previous or traditional method uses stoichiometric reaction and also produces waste to make these element-element bonds, which are very important in making materials. However, my new pathway, or the one I use for my reaction to make these element-element bonds, it involves the use of it involves catalytic reaction, and also the only byproduct is hydrogen gas. So what that means, it's been swapped. It's doing a better job than the previous work. So hydrogen gas is a very important fuel. We all know that, right? So this is great. So we make complex molecules and novel materials, and also there's a need for catalyst, right? And so, aside from the fact that we just make efficient catalytic system, we also want to make sure that they are very sustainable in my research group. Like my boss will say, go cheap or go home, right? So, in the world where we have finite resources, there is a need that we want to make sure that these solutions are affordable and they are also accessible to us, not just to few people, but to everyone. And so the use of transition metals was what we previously used for this element-element bonding, but they're actually expensive. If you're going to use ruthenium, it's expensive. Zirconium, it's expensive. And they're also toxic, and we also have like no natural abundance, so we are running out of them. And so using of group 1 elements is what I'm currently using right now because they are abundant, they are cost effective, they are accessible, they have high activity, same as these transition metals. So what have I done? I've been able to use this in place of the other one. So one way or the other, I'm contributing and helping the environment. So then I also know that beyond the lab, I need to also go outside, you know, making a change beyond the lab. I was opportune to join the Green Chemistry Institute as well. It happened this summer 2025. So we, in this particular summer institute, they equipped us with the knowledge of green chemistry, understanding chemistry, using chemistry wisely, and adding to the solutions for the climate. And it was very, very interactive. So I learned a lot. It was awesome. It was very rigorous. So aside from me learning in the lab and also doing work in the lab, I'm also gaining other skills, beyond all of that. I was able to ask questions, talk about debates, give answers. It was a really beautiful experience for me. And so beyond all of that as well, I have been able to ignite the change. And my change, and how to ignite my change is my voice. So I just talk about it. It starts with conversation. So the last time I was in Ohio, Columbus, at the NDI STEM, it's called the National Diversity STEM, I was able to be on a panel with these amazing, great women. They are doing so much work in sustainability. I talked about my own part of it. I also advocate. I go to a lot of conferences. I talk about my research to people. They have questions. I give them answers to the best of my knowledge. Then I also communicate. I keep communicating. So this is my own power. So my question to everybody here right now is, what is your own power? Because there are solutions, right? There are solutions everywhere, but they are available if everyone decides to commit to them. Your power can be your voice. It can be your vote. It can be your research. It can also be your compassion. So just try to be more involved in helping our beautiful planet. So before I leave, I want to leave you with a quote. It says, "Don't just see the problem, recognize your own power. Every choice to consume less, research more, or teach one child is an act of transformation. Become the force for change in your own sphere. Your sphere could be at your office, it could be at school, it could be on the bus, it could be anywhere." Thank you to my research group, University of Vermont, TEDxUVM, and NSF for supporting my research projects. Thank you.